Welcome back to the Coffee House. My name is Vic Bonacci, and I am your barista. Today, I will be serving up yet another espresso-sized shot of something Agile flavored. Let's see what it is. We're going to spin the wheel once again. It's kind of one of my favorite new things, is to come up with a topic just at random and talk about it for about 5 minutes. See how good I could do, being just off the cuff, as it were. These are not edited at all, these little 5 or 7 minute long features. Oh, by the way, speaking of not being edited, I'm showing you how not edited it is. I forgot to set my little timer, so here it goes for 8 minutes. That's not to exceed 8 minutes. It can always end a little on the early side, but let's keep it brief. Your barista needs to keep it brief for you. The prompts that I'm going to be pulling off of this wheel, this sir here wheel, this wheel here is filled with cards taken from the Conversation Starters Volume 2 deck, aka the blue deck, not to be confused with the green or the red deck. There you go. Here we go. Here's the wheel set up. You know, the cards, they're not going to fall off, but they are kind of getting ready to spin, aren't they? I'll have to do something like fixing that up between takes, but, you know, as long as they don't fall off this round, they're okay. Okay? Okay. Spinning wheel, where will you land? Okay, we've got something brand new today, close to where we were last time. You can see this is the first one that we asked here. Today's says, exploring the definition of done. Exploring the definition of done. So, what I would like to tell you about the definition of done is that it is existing in the Scrum Guide what done means. It means basically that whatever the Scrum team is delivering at the end of a sprint, the iteration in Scrum, at the end of the sprint, that slice of the content, the product that is done, needs to be potentially shippable. That's what the minimum definition of done is, as per the Scrum Guide. Potentially shippable. Why do we want it to be potentially shippable? Well, I'm glad you asked. In Scrum, like many other Agile frameworks, we encourage teams to work in an iterative way. So like we're iterating through the... we're working in an iterative capacity, building the product or the service one increment at a time. So we're adding each increment on an iterative basis. And so, because of that, we know that we, as an organization, as a set of stakeholders, as a product owner, we can expect to receive some slice of the product every single sprint. At the end of every iteration, we will get something that we can then look at together, collectively. We can inspect it, and if we need to, we could make a suggestion to adapt, the adaptation. This is all part of the empirical process. That's the way that many Agile frameworks work. They deliver their products using an empirical approach as opposed to a defined approach where we can simply write a list or a recipe and follow that. The empirical approach says, hey, make your processes transparent and build in the ability to inspect and then make adaptations as needed. So the definition of done helps keep the Scrum team honest, helps them to be able to deliver something that can be inspected at the end of every sprint. So I know I'm using a lot of Scrum language here, but that's primarily the Agile framework that most of us are used to, right? But in other Agile practices, you have the same theory, for the most part, give and take. So here we've got the question, and I know I've kind of strayed off of it. It says exploring the definition of done. So I guess it's not so much a question as a prompt for me, your barista, to explore. The definition of done, as I said, is in the Scrum Guide, and it's defined as having something that's potentially shippable. However, most teams will go ahead and extend upon that definition. Now, even if the product owner tells them, oh, that's okay, we're not going to ship it to a customer at the end of the sprint, still, it's important for the rest of the team to come together and deliver something that is potentially shippable. And that is so that when it does come time to ship it, we don't have to go through any kind of backward looking process to see, oh, is everything done yet? Oh, has it been tested? Has it been merged? Has it been running on XYZ environment and UAT has been accomplished? No, no, no. That's already done because it is delivered as potentially shippable, even if the product owner tells you in advance, okay, but we're not going to ship it. That also allows the product owner, stakeholders, other expecting parties like customers to get in there and touch it, feel it, interact with it, that type of thing, and give you feedback if necessary. Now, a definition of done doesn't have to be very exhaustive, but it should include the key parts that need to be met so that it is potentially shippable. As for me, when I work with teams, I typically like to start developing a definition of done when I first meet them. Even if the team is coming together for the first time, we'll set some time aside, a day, a half day, multiple days, whatever it might be, to do some kind of team building exercise, get to know each other, do a skills inventory, talk about the goal, the mission that we're set about to achieve, and then talk about the processes that we'll use to get there. It could take a long time to do that, but if we break it down into bite-sized pieces, it's normally okay, and you can spread it out over multiple sessions if you need to. In that time, at the very early stages of the product, I will begin addressing the definition of done and why it's important for the teams. I made a short video on YouTube. It's one of the videos they call shorts on YouTube. It's only a minute long and it's a skit that I think kind of exemplifies what a definition of done looks like and why you need it. It's a funny thing. Hopefully you get to check it out by following the link down there below. Back to the definition of done. So if your teams have a definition of done, it's a dynamic document. So you may write it with the full Scrum team, including your product owner, and create a start to the definition of done. And maybe a sprint or 3 go by, and that definition of done, can I say DOD? That DOD is sufficient. But then sprint 4 comes along and it's like, oh, we forgot that we need to be doing this other thing, or we hadn't considered this other activity. Well, update your DOD. Do this as a team so that no one is caught unaware. What if your team is working with other teams who are pulling from the same backlog and then migrating or merging things together at some point down the line? Well, if there's integration activities that involve multiple teams, have them participate in building the definition of done, or at a minimum, make sure that your team shares their DOD with other applicable or necessary teams, and vice versa. Any other thoughts on the DOD? I'm sure that there are. If I've missed something, you could probably let me know in some comment section below or whatever we have on this platform. I'd look forward to seeing it and responding to you. Definition of done is very important for Scrum teams, so include that in one of your first conversations with your team. That's all I've got here. So if you like my style of delivery and the content that I'm creating, there's many ways that you can find me. Go to agilecoachingcards.com for the cards. Check out onlinescrumclass.com for all the classes I teach. Or just to keep in touch with what's going on, agilecoffee.com is where you can go and find me so that I can remind you to enjoy your coffee with friends.